Uh, Welcome back. In this lecture, we'll start with Hedley Bull of English School of International Law, International Politics, or International Society School. Before understanding Hedley Bull, we have to understand in what context he spoke. He spoke in context of the second great debate in international politics. The first great debate happened between happened between liberals and realists, right? The second great debate happened between behavioralist behavioralist versus traditionalist. Behavioralist versus traditionalist. Now, as we have studied behavioralism, what is behavioralism? Behavioralism is all about making political science a pure science. Making political science a pure science. It is method driven, it is technique driven, and it is about quantification, it is about systematization. On the other hand, traditional approaches, there are multiple kinds of traditional approaches as we have studied in political science. Right. With respect to international relations, you see among traditional approaches, there is historical approach. Historical approach. In historical approach, we have actually studied E.H. Carr. E.H. Carr. In his book 30 Years War, he has explained how history is used to study international relations. And historical approach is for studying international relations as a study of diplomatic history, right? We are understanding debate. What is behavioralism? We have studied. What is traditional approaches in international relations or study of international politics, among which first is historical approach. The second approach in traditional approach or traditional school is philosophical approach. Philosophical approach. Philosophical approach is philosophical analysis of international relations, right? Let's say uh, in philosophical approach we have seen Kautilya. In philosophical approach we have to see Kautilya, but we have seen Machiavelli. We have seen in realist again we have seen Morgenthau. Right? He has used human nature and power as uh, power as power as the principle to analyze international relations. It is a philosophical approach, right? It is mostly philosophical approach because power is used to analyze things. Or feminist approach, it is a philosophical approach because it criticizes patriarchy, right? Or Gandhian approach to international relations, which is philosophical as well. So these are all philosophical approach. Third perspective or third approach within traditional approach is legalistic. Legalistic. Legalistic approaches in legalistic approaches, international relations or international politics is studied as study of international law. Study of international law. This started from Hugo Grotius. Hugo Grotius is father of international law, right? Behavioralists, on the other hand, say we do not need to study history. We do not need to study philosophy, neither we have to study law, but we actually have to study and we actually have to do we have to study structures, right? We have to study system. We have to study behavior. We have to study and quantify things, right? We have to and on basis of these we have to build models. As in political science, we have seen models of David Easton systems approach. Then there is Almond and Verba, who who have given structural function approach. Right? Both of them are systems approach. They have built models to explain political system. Right? So what behavioralism is all about? It is about model building. We have to build model of international relations, and on basis of this model, we have to we have to do scientific thinking on it, right? Almost like engineering, almost like operation, almost like research, right? Almost like mathematics, like coding. They wanted to systematize international relations, they want to systematize human relations, right? This is the difference between behavioralist and traditionalist. Traditionalists more or less are very philosophical. Behavioralists more or less are scientific, want to build models. This is the main debate, right? The debate actually happened, or the main exponent of the debate were number one Morton Kaplan from behavioralist side, and on the other hand it was Hedley Bull, right? I started with Hedley Bull, I pivoted to second grade debate. Now we'll have to understand, right? We have to understand what is Hedley Bull, right? What ideas did Hedley Bull say? He was number one traditionalist, and he belonged to English School of International Politics or International Society School of International Politics. What is the main debate between these two, or what is the main debate between behavioralist and traditionalist? Number one, use of model building in understanding IR. What is use? And even if there is use, is it desirable? Is it desirable to make these models? Traditionalists will say, without these models, we can understand history, we can think, we can understand international relations without the models. What is the need of model? What is the need of model? This is the idea. This is the idea. In this context, we'll first understand views of Hedley Bull, and then we'll shift to modern Kaplan, and then we will try to give a comprehensive conclusion so as to which of the approaches won. Which of the approaches won. So we'll start with, and as this lecture suggests, that we'll have to understand views of Hedley Bull. Views of Hedley Bull, right? We'll understand views in the debate. We'll understand views outside debate here only, and we will not keep it for the other time, right? We'll understand Hedley Bull comprehensively here only. So who was Hedley Bull? Hedley Bull belonged to English School of International Politics. It is also known as International Society School of International Politics. English School or International Society School, right? English School or International Society School. Hedley Bull wrote a book, Anarchical Society. Anarchical Society. Anarchical Society. Anarchical Society. What is Anarchical Society? Right? What is Anarchical Society? Anarchical Society basically have to say, right? It is a mix of these two words. It is a middle path between anarchy and society. It is a middle path between anarchy and society. Right? Hedley Bull says that international politics or international relations are like anarchy and society. There is conflict and cooperation at the same time. There is conflict and cooperation at the same time. The the relations between two nations in international politics are complex, right? There is some sort of complex interdependence. Interdependence. They are dependent on each other, but the relation of dependence is very complex. There is conflict and cooperation going on as right together. Conflict and cooperation is going on together. This is complex interdependence or anarchical society. These is the view of Hedley Bull. Hedley Bull says that historical analysis is very important. Right? We have to understand history. And he says that international law, international law has importance in understanding international law has importance in understanding international politics, right? He says, as behavioralists will say that we should only do scientific thinking, we should reject norms. Hedley Bull says normative analysis cannot be ignored, right? And he proclaims that objective of international politics is international peace. Peace is the politics. Peace is the objective of international politics. Now Hedley Bull in favor of traditionalists have given some arguments, right? Arguments, right? As we are studying, as we are studying second grade debate and the debate between behavioralist and traditionalist. Hedley Bull gave some arguments in favor of behavioralist and no, sorry, in favor of traditionalist and in criticism of behavioralist, right? Right. The first criticism or the first question he asked behavioralist is that the subject of international politics or subject of politics is normative. And the question he asked is if scientific tools or models does scientific tools or models who answer questions of moral issues, right? The first criticism is that subject is normative. Are scientific tools or models able to are they applicable to question or answer moral issues? This is the first argument. The second argument is right. Second argument is for methods you are right for methods behavioralists are are sacrificing scope of subject scope of subject right. Giving solutions on issues is the primary objective of the subject. If your if your theory is not able to give solution, then that is not theory, that is just description. Behavioralist theories were descriptions, they are not solutions, right? For him, behavioralists are sacrificing scope of subject because behavioralist theory do not give solution. They only describe what exists in front of them, right? This is second the second criticism or the second argument. The third argument is that is method is method of quantification useful for for model building. Right? Is method of quantification useful for model building. However large data you acquire, will that data be ever enough to answer questions of international relations? It may not be, right? Data collection may not lead to theory building. The fourth criticism is that behavioralists see international politics or international relations as natural science. But political science cannot be natural. Political science cannot be natural, right? As behavioralists focus only on quantification, focus really should be on systematization of knowledge, not methods. Behavioralist focus is misplaced. The fifth criticism or fifth argument is that if you ignore history, philosophy, or law, without history, philosophy, or law, the the subject itself loses its identity, right? If you take out history, philosophy, or law out of political science, the subjects become very, very hollow, right? Without history, philosophy, and law, the subject of political science does not exist. Does not exist. Then the sixth argument is that there are some dangers of scientific approach. What are the dangers of scientific approach? Right. The first danger is if you are overly emphasizing on technique, then technique can become goal. Technique can become end in itself. Idea of theory should be emancipation. Idea of theory should be solution, not technique. The second danger is that unnecessary jargoning can be there, right? Unnecessary jargon can be there. In UPSC sphere, you see people explain things which are easy to explain in unnecessarily jargonous language, right? Unnecessarily jargonous language. Simple things have to be simple. Right? Explain them simply. There is no need to use complex language. The third, the third danger is right. The third danger is of model building. You build models. The models might get peer peer acceptance, right? Models might get peer acceptance. The social scientists, the political scientists around you may say that this model is complete. When such thing can happen, models can be treated as reality. When models are treated as reality, you limit yourself within that model, right? You have to think outside the box for solutions. These are the arguments given by Hedley Bull in favor of traditionalist and against behavioralist, right? Against behavioralist. Then, then against this argument, there is another man, Morton, Kaplan. Morton Kaplan gave his views on these six criticism, right? He says that you are right, data is not available. When data is not available, the theory or the models which are going to be formed, they are not going to be very comprehensive, they are not going to be very detailed. But he says that right now data is not available, but tomorrow tomorrow more data can be available. When more data can be available, model building can happen, right? This is first response. Then he says that more data more data leads to more patterns. As we understand more patterns, we can build models. So scientific method is possible, right? Then he says this is the first reaction. The second reaction is that some traditionalists held models models to be real. If you remember Plato's cycle of regimes, there was democracy, then oligarchy, then philo then there was a philosopher king, then there was democracy, and back to democracy, right? Rule of soldiers, rule of few rich men, rule of philosopher king, democracy, and back to democracy. So this was the model given by Plato. Now this model is quite quite based on pattern. So Plato held a model to be real. So Kaplan says that when Plato, the father of political philosophy, held model real, who are you to say to anything to me? The third, the third uh, reaction or the third response that Morton Kaplan gave in favor of behavioralist, he says that traditionalists are confused. Traditionalists are confused between what is philosophy and what is speculation. And he says that except Raymond, all other philosophies are speculations only. Right? The fourth, the fourth the fourth reaction was right. The fourth reaction was if you can understand motives of actors, right? Motives of actors can be understood by scientific methods. Motives of actors can be understood by scientific methods. To understand motive, you have to understand observable reality and behavioral patterns. When you understand observable reality and behavioral patterns, you will understand motives behind actions. This is the fourth response. Where this debate stands today, there is no clear winner between behavioralist and traditionalist. Behavioralism has become post-behavioralism. Traditionalism has become post-positivism. We will understand what is post-behavioralism in international relations, post-positivism in international relations. For now, for now, this is second great debate between behavioralist and Traditionalist, traditionalist defense was given by Hedley Bull, and the response was given by modern Kaplan. If you remember, if you remember debate between behavioralist and traditionalist in political science, you will easily write the debate between Morton Kaplan and Hedley Bull as well. Very simple, not really hard to understand. Again, the criticism remains same. The the criticism and response from the both side remain the same. There is not much difference. So this is the idea behind second grade debate between Morton Kaplan and Hedley Bull. From the next lecture, we'll start with uh, Morton Kaplan and his systems approach and his model of international politics. I hope this helped. I hope this helped. From the next lecture, we'll start with systems approach with respect to international relations given by Morton Kaplan. Thank you so much.